September is Suicide Prevention Month, so let's take a minute to talk about mental health in history and how it shows up for Titanic survivors. In 1912, terms like PTSD didn't exist, but survivors still carried invisible wounds. Many spoke of PTSD like symptoms, even if the medical language for it didn't exist yet. This is what third class passenger Carl Albert said when he was writing to his family in Norway. I am well and fit, and the disaster has not affected me. However, you can be quite solemn when you have seen something as terrible as this. I can still hear the cries for help. This reminds me of survivor Frank Goldsmith, who was only a child when he lost his father on Titanic. Frankie, as his father called him, grew up and had a family of his own, but he could never bring himself to take his sons to a baseball game. For Frank, the cheering of the crowd sounded too much like the cries in the water he had heard decades earlier. Too many lost their battles with mental health and ended their own lives. Jack Thayer in 1945, following the death of his son in World War II, Lookout Frederick Fleet carried survivor's guilt and struggled with feelings that the sinking was his fault. He died in 1965. Annie Robinson died just 4 months after Titanic sank when she was traveling on another steamship. She became so anxious about another disaster while sailing through thick fog, she jumped overboard. Dr. Henry Froenthal and Dr. Washington Dodge both struggled with their mental health and died by suicide. Froenthal in 1927 and Dodge in 1919, 7 years after Titanic. And sadly, the list keeps going. Survivors lived with trauma in a world that didn't yet have the language or the support that we do now. If you're struggling, you're not alone. Check the description for resources near you and share a message of love with a friend. The smallest acts of kindness can make all the difference.